Welcome to Lifted, a podcast where we talk about all things health and fitness for busy working mums and women who are trying to navigate their way around parenting, work and relationships whilst wanting to prioritize their own fitness and body goals. We'll explore ways to help you achieve and maintain a lean, strong and sexy physique that is essential for helping you carry out your day-to-day tasks without burnout. We'll talk about relationships, self-love, and even dive into the mindset side to help you shift your perception, change your paradigm from one of inability or lack of to one of pure abundance and endless possibilities to enable you live your best, healthy, and fit life, being the best version of you that you can be. I'll share my journey as a bodybuilder and talk about everything it's given me in terms of achieving a strong mindset and a will that's totally unbreakable. I am your host, Carol West, and it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Lifted. And today I have got another guest on my pod, and I would like to welcome her and to let her introduce herself to you. We welcome to the pod Anastasia Marie, wellness coach. I found out about Anastasia through a friend and fellow coach who said she would be a good fit for my podcast. And my podcast being one that basically talks about all things health and fitness, holisticness and wellness. She seemed like a good fit for the podcast. So it was a no-brainer really to ask her to come on. And fortunately enough, she did agree to come on, which I was very pleased about. So because there is a theme of health and fitness going, we try to encourage women to help them feel empowered and be the best version of themselves from the inside out by talking about our experiences, talking about our businesses if we run any businesses ourselves, and basically sharing with each other tips on how to deal with day-to-day runnings of things, whether it's work, whether it's family, and just basically coming on and sharing with us everything about your life and what your business is about. And it's also a platform for you to kind of talk to the listeners and try and get people to come to you as well. So with that being said, we will ask Anastasia to introduce herself to us. Tell the listeners about you, Anastasia, what you do, your specialty, and how long you've been doing it for, please.
Hi everyone, so I am Anastasia and I am a wellness coach. I have been in the industry now since 2019. I did a PT course during lockdown to give me something to do and to focus on, including things that I am really passionate about. And one of those things is sort of like health, fitness and well-being. Prior to that, I have been in the beauty industry for 25 years and also teaching for 15 of those. I do think the two things can interlock quite nicely as well, because you are constantly talking and listening to women on both sides there as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's really good. Just to let the listeners know also, like obviously you've mentioned what you did before, and now you're a wellness coach, aren't you?
Yes.
How did you come about deciding to explore this line of work? What made you what pulled you towards that sort of thing? Have you always wanted to do that sort of thing, or is it something that you transitioned into, or you just found your way into it?
So I did kind of transition into it. Following on from doing bodybuilding, a lot of people used to ask me for help and advice in the gym, and that sort of led me to then wanting to do my PT course. I love sort of helping and empowering women. So I thought this was a good route to take. It's only recently that I have moved on to the whole wellness side, working a lot more on our inner selves as well as our outer selves as well. But yeah, so yeah, I kind of transitioned into it really.
Good, good. And is it something you're really passionate about? Obviously, it
Very.
must be because that's why you're doing it. What does it give you as a person seeing like helping people become their better selves through what you do? How does that impact your life as well?
It makes me feel extremely happy to
Mm,
see other women sort of thrive and do well and feel mentally and physically good, and knowing that you have helped them,
yeah.
even if it's in a small way, is very satisfying.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It is really good. And with me being, I qualified from personal training as well. And when I started off, obviously you don't know so much when you're starting off, and you have to kind of get the experience as you go along. It's quite daunting.
It is
But a lot of it is just based on you as a person being confident in what you're doing, and believing in your abilities to actually be able to help people be the best they can be, both physically, emotionally, and mentally, because I feel it's something that touches all those areas, and not just like, yes, when you're coming into the gym, say for example, to have a PT session, it is just like the physical side, but what you take away from it going forward also is the mental side, and the clarity it gives you in your head. Would you agree?
totally agree. So, you might just think you're going in for that PT session, and that you are working on your body, but you will always feel good when you have walked out of
Yeah,
the gym.
yeah,
You will mentally feel better. Um, if you do it in the morning, it's going to set you up for the day.
yeah.
And as you're getting physically stronger, you're also building mental strength as well.
Absolutely, 100%. And with you working as a fitness trainer, when you did that, how long did you do that for again? And what was your niche? Like, what did you just work with women, or was it anybody and everybody?
So predominantly women,
Yeah.
couple of men, but mainly women. I only really did sort of like a year on the gym floor.
Mm.
Um, this was all during the time when we were going like in and out of lockdown. I did them
Right.
from the park. I did them from the garden.
Oh
Sort of,
gosh, yeah, I remember them days.
yeah, that we could kind of, your Zoom ones that you were doing with people during that time as well. So that only really lasted a year before I transitioned fully into online coaching.
Mm. And do you find is there a massive difference training women as distinct from training men? What would you say your experience has been? With you touching there that you did have a couple of men that you trained as well.
I found that a lot of men would sort of push themselves quicker, weren't always quite as sort of scared to move weights,
Mm.
where like a lot of women were quite scared really. That they were going to get bulky, or they're not going to be able to do it, or they're doing it right, or
Yeah.
feel a little bit embarrassed. So the men just seemed a little bit more confident.
Yeah, because it's presumed that the weights are very, very male orientated, if you will, and
Yes.
women do tend to shy away from weights. And I'm always encouraging them. That is your weapon. That's your, if you want to achieve a really good physique, and like get a really good looking body, you want to throw yourself into the weight section, even though they're very apprehensive, and you get things like, oh, I don't want to be bulky and I don't want to be massive. Did you get any of that?
All the time, and we're
Yeah.
like, if only.
Yeah, if
if
only it was that easy. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
if it
Exactly.
only was that easy to, get big and get bulky.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's just these sort of like preconceived images, and thoughts that women have around weight training, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
it
mean, I'm
is.
fortunate to have grown up in gyms.
Mm.
I used to go into the gym 6, 7 years old with my dad. So it's something that I've been around quite a long time. But it was predominantly years ago, you kind of had the women on the cardio machines and
Yes.
the men in the weight section. So it was
Yeah.
quite scary as well.
Yes, it was. And again, it's just that preconception of thinking like, I don't really want to venture into the weight section because I'll be manly. Again, it's for us bodybuilders, we understand how hard it is, but for the general population, it can be quite scary. How do you educate women when it comes to that fear? How do you educate them so that they can eradicate that and feel more confident venturing into the weight section and going into resistance training?
What I found worked the best for me is starting women off on some like the weight machines to help sort of build that confidence up first before sort of touching any free weights. Again, just because I found that a lot of the women that I was working with were quite sort of, scared to pick up the weights, that they're going to do it wrong, that they're going to hurt themselves. And then, as a lot of women have said over the course of time, they want this toned body. Yeah. So, then it's sort of trying to explain to them that if you want this sort of toned look, then you need to be building muscle, and you are not going to do that by
on
just
cardio machines.
Yeah, they need to be sort of doing that resistance training, and then explaining to them, all the other benefits that you're going to get, especially as you age.
And what advice do you give, like on the nutritional level? Do you venture into that as well, or are you just solely based on the physical side?
Very into the nutritional side.
Nice.
It's one of the biggest parts, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yes. Yeah, and it's the education behind the amount of food that women actually need to eat, and what sort of food they need to eat. Again, there's that notion of like, well, if I want to get toned and I want to lose weight, I need to eat less. And they don't actually understand how it works. What sort of approach do you use for your clients when you're going into the nutrition side of things to explain to them actually how all of it works, if you don't mind sharing?
No, of course I don't. One of my sort of favorite quotes is sort of eat smart, not less.
Yeah.
And I am from the sort of era of the 1200 calorie diet. So everybody thinks 1200 calories was the magic number, myself included over the years.
Yeah.
So it's explaining to them why they need certain nutritional groups, your carbs, your fats, your proteins, and the roles that they are going to take. But that, there is no good and bad food.
No.
And I think people getting their head around that they can eat anything in moderation. If you're going to cut everything out of your diet, you are going to end up in a vicious circle.
I'm glad you said that.
Time and time again, making the sort of same mistakes because you think, I can't have that item, I can't have that bit of food today. One client that sort of really sticks in my mind is her thing was she was having one Krispy Kreme donut a week, and that was her thing. And we kept that in through the whole process of her sort of working towards the physique that she wanted, and it worked. And it's keeping that balance, isn't it, that is going to keep people on track.
Yes.
And the other side is, once they've hit the body that they want, it's then sort of trying to sustain that and not going all out or eating all the things that they wanted during that sort of diet phase that they were doing. And I have been there myself as well. Where all I thought about is I need that, I can't wait to eat it when I'm when I've finished. And then you overeat all these other things, and again you're sort of coming back to square one. So it's sort of looking at how they perceive food as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And again, it's one of those things that only comes when you have somebody who's got the knowledge to show you the right way of doing it. We have what we call, well, I don't really like calling them cheat meals because it's suggesting that they're not supposed to be eaten. But it's like we incorporate like a free meal, say one where you can have your favorites. As you say, it has to be sustainable. It has to fit in with your life and your lifestyle, and not just something. It's different when you're doing like bodybuilding prep. And
yes, that's very different, isn't it?
Yeah, if you think about prep as a whole as it is, and you will have your own opinion on this, like when you're trying to restrict some foods or someone from having certain foods and then you release them, they will completely go the other way and binge on the things that they've missed. And this happens with bodybuilding, doesn't it? After prep, like you kind of go into, like, if you haven't got like a good coach to like kind of hold the reins for you, you completely go off the scale with the amount of things you're eating, because you've been restricted from eating things that you would normally for a really long time. And that applies also to like the general population lifestyle clients. You can't just tell them not to eat certain things because you're wanting them to achieve a certain look and then expect them to sustain that going forward. It's not going to happen. So the way to do it, in my opinion, is to also allow them to have, their glass of wine, to have their chocolates, to have the pizza here and there, but it has to be structured in a way where they will create these new habits where they know, yes, we're not being restricted. We can still have them, but we just have to be disciplined in this amount of time, and then we are actually allowed to have what we fancy. I don't know what you think about that.
I think exactly the same as you. You need to have that little bit of variety in there, but also looking at, how do I feel when I'm eating this food? As you know yourself, the more nutritious food you eat, the better you feel. Absolutely. The better your skin looks, the more energy you have, and the more sort of processed foods that you consume, if you're having a lot of those, it can lead towards bad mental health, feeling low and feeling sluggish. So I think it's really important that people look at how they feel as well, on a balanced diet. And I like to have like the term untracked meal. If I've got a client that's actually completely tracking the food.
I like that.
We've all been there, haven't we, with cheat days and treat meals.
Absolutely. Yes, we have.
Yeah.
And it can completely run away with you if you don't, if you're not watching it, it can. And at the end of the day, we're all human, and especially for us ladies, we're going to talk hormones now for a bit. They affect us as well. And again, this is something that I was quite happy to bring you on the pod to talk about, things like menopause and all these hormonal issues that women experience. And we'll go into that in a bit later. But I just want to say, like, for women, it's very hard sometimes to control things like cravings, because it very much is dependent on where you're at on your cycle. Say, like, for me, around my cycle, all I want to eat is just chocolate. I want chocolate. But I have found, since going into the healthy lifestyle that I started off on, and I've carried through up until now, even regardless of the bodybuilding side, that dark chocolate, I never really used to like dark chocolate. And then when I started having it, because I was eating more nutritious food, it tasted better than the normal chocolate for me. So again, things change and people are different in how they react to different things. And as women, obviously, we are very much affected by our hormones and how they fluctuate through our cycle. What are your thoughts on the hormonal side, and how do you deal with women when they're going through their cycle, and maybe they've got to a point where they've got cravings and they've gone off plan? How do you deal with clients then?
So I do think we as women should be tracking our whole cycle. If we know our bodies well enough, we sort of know the signs when we're ovulating, when it's the time of the month, and we can sort of prepare and work around those things. And if someone goes off track, it's just about talking to them about how they felt, what happened, and moving past it, but then seeing what we can do differently next time. Could it be a case of that around someone's period, we give them an extra couple of 100 calories? We say to them, have a chocolate bar. If that chocolate bar is going to stop you moving into a binge, then have that, because then you're not going to sort of spiral sort of out of control.
Yes, that makes sense.
And it's about having some acceptance in what has been as well. If that has happened, we cannot change that it's happened, but we can move forward from it, and we can see what we need to do then. Because, everybody feels different with their hormones. And it's so unique, isn't it? To each
person, it's very different. Yeah. And some people suffer more than others when they're going through the period, say.
Yeah. Some people, you know, might sail through. Other people may be extremely tired. They might even need to, you know, reduce the training down, have a bit more rest. There's so many different things that we can do as well. And, you know, I found that also, like, incorporating more facts around the period time can also help.
Definitely, yes.
Cravings, and tends to fill you up that little bit more.
It does. I find, like, with clients who get to this point and they've had like a bad week, and they get to a point where they feel like, oh, I've completely destroyed everything that I've worked for. I'm not going to check in. I'm just going to, like, you know, I'm jumping out, say, of this boat. I can't do it. How do you deal with clients then who kind of get their head messed up because they've had like a binge, and they've completely gone off track?
Yeah, I mean, these are the times that they need to check in more than ever, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Because that is when we can help them. And it's about letting them know that they do not need to be afraid to tell us and to talk to us about what's going on, because then we can move through it. We can move past it. Again, it's like, we cannot change what's happened now, but if you talk to us, we can move past that. It can be hard, can't it? Because some people will just completely go.
Yes,
and they,
I know.
You know,
they just disappear, and you think, like, where did this person go? Like, what?
I've up a couple of times, and then they might pop back up a couple of months later. So then it's sort of setting your stall on this. You know, this is what I expect from you. Doesn't matter how wrong something has gone. You are better to check in on that one wrong time than all the right times.
Absolutely, 100%.
That is when you need the most help, and then we can work through why you are feeling that way, what we can do to make it better. Because as we know, you know, 1 week in 1 year, a week in a month, you've still got 3 other, a day in a week. You know, it's not going to undo all the progress like people think it is, but it only will if they let it continue on.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of women do find that they're very much fixated on the weighing scale, and this is what throws them, because they'll jump on that scale and they'll think like, oh God, I have completely undone everything. But the thing to understand is that even when you've had like a binge session and you've completely gone off track with things, whatever you're holding isn't fat. You know, they kind of tend to think like, oh, I've put all the fat back on, and it isn't, is it?
Yeah, we have really got to keep explaining about scale weight, don't we? I think it's the thing that many of us will say, oh, these are the different things that can affect it. You know, personally, I think let's put that scale in the bin and just
let's just throw the scale away.
Because they can just fluctuate so much. And, you know, some people are perfectly fine weighing themselves daily, and they look at that overall average. And some people, they are best just doing it once a month or not at all.
Not at all.
Because it can literally make or break somebody's day. And it's just one number.
It's just one number, and it can completely destroy your day, and even sometimes your whole month or your whole week. So much fixated on it. It's like it has to be a certain number, otherwise you're not happy. And again, this is where we have to come in as coaches and really educate the ladies that, you know, you forget the scale weight. It really doesn't matter that much, because I usually give them like a comparison and say, like, if 2 people are walking outside and you met them, and 2 completely different looking people, and one looks really fit and one not so much, you wouldn't go by what their weight is. You wouldn't say like, oh my God, you look like you're 60 kilos. Like, you know, you don't look good because you're 60 kilos, would you?
No.
They will look at how you look, not what you weigh. Nobody really is interested in what you weigh. It's like the impact you create in the public eye is not down to your weight, is it? It's down to your physical appearance. So really, the scale weight shouldn't dictate how you live your life and how you feel about yourself, because it's completely stupid. It's just not the right way to
no,
the right
really
thing to focus on.
And how many different ways can you look at the same weight?
Yes.
You know, I posted some of these comparisons up of myself, you know, at the same weight, or where I've actually weighed a lot more, but my
Mm.
physique looks so much
So
better.
much different, yeah.
And it's just to try and educate people again on, you know, this is just a number. It does not matter what that scale says.
Yes.
You know, take a look in the mirror and that will give you a better idea. Those
Yeah.
pictures and measurements are going to give
Yeah.
you a much better idea.
Yeah.
And how you feel as
And how
well.
you feel, yeah.
Let's take into account those feelings.
Mm, yeah, and I find quite interesting when sometimes you have the client who has progressed, but they don't see it because the scale isn't moving. And then what you do is you take a side-by-side photo,
Yeah.
and then the penny drops. And it's just amazing when you see them realizing that, do you know what? It's not really about the scale weight, because if I'm looking that different from when I started to now, it really doesn't matter what the scale says, because you can clearly see the waist has gone in, you know, the legs are shaping up, the glutes are shaped up, and you know, they're looking really good. But they just, because they're so hardwired to think like the scale has to go down, why is it not going down? It's about educating them why the scale weight isn't going down. Yeah.
It is. It really is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The evil.
Fantastic. Yeah, we need to get rid of scale weight. Yeah. So having worked on the gym floor, so having done like one-to-one PT, and then crossing over to the online side as well, I'd just like you to talk us through the comparisons between the two. Which one do you prefer most, or which one's easier to do? What are the pros and cons of each one, one-to-one and online?
I think I personally prefer online.
Hmm.
My reasons being, I feel you can give more input to your client and you can get an overall picture.
Yeah.
Where when you're on the gym floor and you're doing your PTs, you might only see that person once a week, and they may be struggling to do the other side of things because they're not really checking in. They're just coming for some PT sessions. Sorry, I'm going a little bit dry.
It's all right. Grab a drink. Grab a drink.
Yeah, the good side about being on the PT floor is you can actually physically see what your client is doing. You can help them. You can work on the form a bit more, work on the confidence whilst they're with you. But I personally do prefer online for, you
Yeah.
know, everything that you can work towards a lot easier with your client. Having the two combined obviously would be even better.
Fantastic. Yeah, that would be really good. If you can do both, that would be really good. But it's harder to do both, because as we know, if you're a PT on the gym floor, you have to spend a lot of time on the gym floor, because you know, if you've got, especially if you've got like loads of clients, you literally have to be there physically, and by the time you finish, you're completely gone. So you
Yeah,
kind of, the other side will suffer a bit, because you will not have that much energy to input as much on the online side, as you, because you're physically doing it when you're on gym floor, aren't you?
yeah,
And you're using up quite a lot of your energy that way. But I'm like you as well. I do prefer the online, just because of the amount of knowledge you can pass on to the client, and the amount of education that you can give them as well. Yes, some of them do need that one-to-one contact, because they might be new to the gym setting, so they might not know what they're doing. And my advice would just be to go in and grab a PT on the gym floor to show them around, because they are there for that. And they will show them what needs doing. It won't be like a proper PT session, but just like an induction, so that they don't have that gym anxiety going in. And then from there, obviously, you're providing things like videos, and they can send you videos of them. If they've got to a point where they're that confident, they can record themselves,
yeah,
then they send you the videos of them training, and you can see where to adjust. It's still not the same as you being there in person, but they do get so much more value out of being an online client than like a gym floor one-to-one session. So yeah, I do agree with you on that. Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. We've covered that, which is brilliant. I want to go into your main thing now, which is wellness. I haven't got a lot of knowledge on wellness, as will some of our listeners who will be listening to this podcast. And I just want you to really go into a bit more detail on what wellness is all about, and how do you teach that? How do you what sort of service do your clients get when you say you're bringing them in for wellness?
So, like I've said, this is quite new.
Yeah.
Quite new, moving over to this side for me. But for me, wellness is about the whole picture, and it's about putting those sort of healthy habits into your daily routine to work on your mind and body. Because in my eyes, you can't work on one without the other.
True.
You know, if you're working on your body, but you're not dealing with those beliefs that you've got inside, you're never going to come to a stage that you're happy.
No, true.
So it's about incorporating different habits into your life. So, for example, practicing gratitude, talking to yourself positively, manifesting what you want. Breath work to me is amazing, and it can help so many people. So we want to try and keep these stress levels down, and just have an overall well-being and happiness.
Yeah.
And, you know, feeling good on the inside and the outside.
Yeah. So when it comes to meditation, it's interesting that you've mentioned meditation, and I am fairly new to all these wellness things, as I've said, but I found that in the past few, I'd say few months, from when I finished the first half of my competitive season, when I was waiting to go into the finals, I did find my way into meditation and journaling and manifestation and stuff like this, and it's something that I'm really keen on knowing more of, and getting really into it as much as possible. It did help me massively to stay calm, because competing for me did make me really anxious, and you know, the thoughts of being on stage for somebody who's not very out there, and I was quite shy. I wasn't really somebody who was like, you know, I was a bit laid back and a bit shy. So competing for me was a big thing. It was me pushing myself out of my comfort zone and trying something new that I would never have gone for. With the help of my coach, obviously we managed to go in, and we did really well. Now, talking about meditation, I'll tell you where I struggle with meditation, and I do it, and I've got into a routine of doing it. How do you quieten your mind so that it doesn't wander? Because I've completely not managed to do that 100%. Sometimes I do it up to 20%, and then I start having job lists in my head.
Right, so it's the biggest thing that everybody says is exactly that. So our minds are actually designed to wander, and meditation is a practice. So it's something that you will keep doing to get better at, and it takes time.
Right.
It's always best, I don't know how much you do and how often, but when you're first starting with 5 to 10 minutes. And when you've managed to bring that wandering mind back, even if it's just once in that meditation, you congratulate yourself for it. Because every time it wanders, you can bring it back. Some tips, if you've got a lot going on in your mind at that time, is to write any thoughts or things that you need to do that day down before you start your meditation. So, for example, and I mean, and I'm pretty good at meditation now. We all have times where we struggle, but the last week was a really, really busy week, and my mind kept going, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do the other.
That's me.
And I was bringing my mind back constantly. But then I congratulated myself on bringing my mind back each time that I did. So definitely maybe trying to make some notes before you do your meditation. And then as long as you're bringing your mind back, the more you do it, the easier that will become.
Right. Okay.
But you will still get times where it will be a struggle to bring your mind back.
So you're constantly fighting with your mind.
You are actually practicing If you
Yeah.
bring it back, you're practicing meditation.
Okay.
And focusing on something within that meditation. So obviously it depends which meditation you're doing, what you're listening to, who you're listening to, I suppose, as well. But if you are even really struggling on that, it's even counting your breath. So, breathing in, and if you're holding your breath at the top, holding, breathing out, and saying it inside your mind, or saying something that you can focus on. It's really good if you can focus on saying something in your mind, and that helps stop your mind to wander.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a good tip, that, because I'm really, see, I do like guided meditation. So there will be like somebody talking you through different scenarios of, like taking you through a journey through maybe a forest or, and it's quite nice. And then you just find you get to a point where you just drift away, and you can see your mind going like a completely different direction. And you're thinking like, why are you not listening to the voice anymore? It's like, yeah, it's dead weird. Would you say there's a better time to do it? Because I do it in the mornings. Is it better? Sometimes if I haven't got time to do it in the mornings, obviously I'll do it at night before I go to sleep. But I feel like at night it's worse, because you've had the whole day and you've had like a series of things happening, and so your mind's still working. And that tip that you just gave of writing stuff down before you go into it is quite good, because that's like offloading before you're actually taking it out of your head and putting it on paper, and then you leave it there, and then you go into your meditative state. So that probably would work better. But would you say mornings is better than evenings, or does it not matter?
It doesn't actually matter what time of day. I do think you can do some morning ones that really set you up. But from my personal experience, morning ones for me, no longer than 15 minutes, or my mind is really wandering, because I know I've got a series of things that I need to do before
you're ready to go.
The working day.
Yeah.
There is an app that is really good. It's like free for a year, and it's called, I think it's a Balanced Mind and Body.
Okay.
And there is an array of guided meditations on there that start from 3 minutes long and go up to like an hour, and they can also be for specific for certain things that you want to do. So one of them is actually if you're having your morning brew, called morning brew, and you actually focus on being mindful whilst you're drinking that brew. So there's really simple ones you can do. There is ones that you can do for sleep. There's ones you can do for anxiety. There's ones you can do for focus. So there's so many different ones that you can do on there. And because they're short, or they start off short, it can be really helpful for somebody that is just starting out.
Right. Okay. Because initially I thought like, oh, 5 minutes isn't long enough for me to really clear my head. And it's like the whole point of doing it is to clear your head. And then you get into it, you're 2 minutes in and your head isn't even clearing at all. It's like,
so, for some people, it might not be just head clearing. It could be, they're feeling quite stressed. They might need to focus a bit more. Once we focus on our breath, we can focus on other jobs that we need to do. It might need to be to calm the mind down. So sometimes you do only need a couple of moments to achieve that, and other times you might need a lot longer. So I think personally, like evening ones before bed, are better that they are longer, because your mind may wander quite a bit at the beginning, but you may find that towards the end, you're not wandering quite as much, and then you're in a relaxed state of mind before you go into sleep.
Yeah.
Like you say, you could always journal. So not just putting down a list of things you need to do if that's what's on your mind, but you could journal your day out that you've just had before you go do it.
Yeah, that's really, really helpful. And I will try and put that into practice going forward, see if it will make any difference, and maybe do like shorter ones as well, because I end up like with 15-minute long ones or 20 minutes, and it's just, I'm constantly fighting with my head. But as you say, it is a process that you have to keep doing, isn't it? It's not just like something that comes immediately. So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind going forward with mine. So thank you for that.
That's okay.
Yeah. Right. So we are going to try and not send anyone to sleep, but I'd like to touch on a really major topic. I touched on it before as we were starting off, and this is menopause. And I believe you're quite knowledgeable on this side of things. First of all, I would like you to just explain to us what really menopause is, what things happen when you're at that point before you start experiencing menopause, as it is, the signs and the symptoms of menopause for ladies who are approaching that sort of age.
Yeah, so menopause is a big topic at the moment. So we've obviously got perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, and they're your sort of three major phases. So actual menopause it's a normal part of a woman's life, and when you actually hit actual menopause is when you have gone one whole year without a period.
Right.
And that's when you hit that phase. But before that, we have perimenopause, and that can last anywhere between 4 and 8 years.
Right. So is that when you have sporadic periods when they come and go?
So they could be that they come and go, or some people may have quite a heavy flow, and there is lots of different symptoms. I think there's around 54 different symptoms, but you've got your sort of major ones that a lot of people have, which are things like hot flushes, night sweats, insomnia, low mood, anxiety, fatigue, and the list goes on and on. And it can be a very distressing part of a woman's life when they first hit it.
Absolutely.
And they do not know how to manage it as well.
And
the reason I sort of delved into that side more, there's two different sides to that. So
you're back.
Very sorry about that. I
That's
am very
all right.
sorry.
Don't worry.
Someone was just trying to call me.
Right, okay.
Hopefully she won't do it again. So one side was, like I say, with the wellness coaching and with the beauty side, a lot of the women that I speak to are of an age where they are hitting perimenopause or are menopausal. And then I also hit perimenopause, and I did not know what had hit me. And I found it an extremely hard time when it happened. So that is why I decided to do a menopause wellness program. And I did a course in that just so I could really understand more and do a lot more research on, what we can do to sort of thrive at this time of our lives.
Yeah. And what can we do to manage these symptoms? Roughly about what age do you expect to get these symptoms, would you say?
So the average age is sort of 45 upwards for perimenopause. Though there is people that get sort of like early menopause, which can happen anywhere something like 38. And then we get like forced menopause as well. So that could be like when somebody's had a hysterectomy, they've had an operation. But yeah, generally 45 years onwards.
Is there any form of treatment that's available to help cope with the symptoms that come with menopause?
So there is HRT, and we generally have that in two forms. So that's your estrogen and progesterone, and then there's estrogen only. In the UK, testosterone we can't get on the NHS.
Okay.
In some other countries you can. It can be very, very beneficial for some women, but a lot of women do not want to go down that route straight away.
No.
So they will look at like other avenues, whether that is on the herbal side or maybe changing their lifestyle and diet up, which to me plays a really big part.
Yeah. Did you find that you managed better with having a healthier, say, lifestyle? Did you manage your symptoms any better did you switch anything up? Anything?
Personally, one of the biggest things that I had to switch up was reducing stress.
Okay.
So I have a very busy lifestyle, and stress was a major impact. It does have a major impact on hormones, especially as those cortisol levels rise.
Yeah.
Is where the sort of wellness side comes in as well. So it's putting in some daily practices that help to cope with stress and also reducing it, and changing up diet as well to include a lot more fats, and a lot more fruit and veg. So, I've had a really big impact on me personally, but I'm working with quite a few menopausal women as well at the moment, and they are all thriving by changing up the diet, reducing stress, improving sleep, and moving more.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it does affect the ability to lose fat, say for clients who come in and they want a fat loss program, but they're struggling because they're going through menopause? What's your view on that? Is it possible to lose fat when you're going through menopause?
Yes, it is possible, but it will take longer than you think. For most people, again, every single person is different. But from what I have found is that it takes most people a lot longer. And there's two different reasons for that. One of them is energy levels. And a lot of menopausal women don't have as much energy as they previously had. They feel a lot more tired, a lot more sluggish. So that means they're not moving as much. So it's about sort of getting them to train quite smart and incorporating things and food into their diet that is going to help with those energy levels.
Yeah.
So it is really definitely is possible, but I do think most people need to be realistic.
Yes.
In their approach, and realistic in the time scale of those results.
Yeah, so they will achieve it, but it will just take longer than your normal average person. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's really good to know, and it's probably good for the listeners also, because it's an educational point for them to be aware that as you point out, they have to have realistic expectations in achieving, say, a certain physique when you're going through the menopause. But yeah, that's been really interesting to hear. I want now to dive into one of my favorite topics. The whole point of the podcast was to bring people who are doing this together to share their experiences. Now, you have gone through bodybuilding, as have I. I want you to talk to us about your experience as a bodybuilder, what prep was like for you, how you managed to fit it into your normal day routine. What class did you compete in? What competitions did you do, and when that was as well, if you don't mind, Anastasia?
Yes, of course. So my first competition was in 2019, I think. I competed in toned figure.
Nice.
I really enjoyed prep.
Did you?
Yes, on the whole.
Yeah.
As you know yourself, it gets harder as you come to it. So I am a person that likes to plan. So during prep, during my first prep, I was actually opening a new salon. And I'm a mother of 3 children. I run my own business, so busy time. So literally from the moment I got up till the moment I went to bed, I planned my day in 5-minute slots.
Wow.
Down to the 5 minutes is how I was able to fit everything into my day that I did. So don't get me wrong, in that 5 minute slot could be a 5-minute shower, and there could be an hour-long walk. But
wow, that's next level planning, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And I'm to a degree, I can still plan like that now, but I have had to try and sort of bring my level of planning down.
Because, that's extra planning that.
Yeah, it's not healthy, but it got me through you know, everything that I needed to do on my preps.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. You kind of have to because there's so much to do. Like, you don't realize like how many boxes you have to take as you're going along the day, as well as your own life. You know, prep on its own is just, it takes over your life, doesn't it?
It
So
does.
pair that with like having a busy lifestyle like yours, it's like it's no wonder you have to plan in 5 minutes exactly down to the last 5 minutes of the day. It's like, don't do that, you end up missing bits that are quite important. So completely get that, even though I wasn't that organized, I'll tell you that. But I had my little list where I ticked everything as I went along through the day. Have I taken this supplement? Have I done? Because your brain gets frazzled at some point. You can't actually think properly. Well, I
Not
couldn't
at all.
anyway towards the end. And you do need those lists, and you do need to be very well organized to get through everything that needs doing. So completely get that. But yeah, so what federations did you compete in
I competed in PCA,
this year? Yeah,
FitX, and why can't I think of the other one? I've got mind blank.
NFM UK,
No. Let me
NABA,
just.
it's gone.
It's gone. I'm going to see if I can quickly just see. I don't know how it's gone, but it's gone.
Well, there is NABA, there is NFM UK, there is UKD BFA.
UKDBFA.
Right,
There you go.
okay.
You've said it for me.
Fantastic.
So that was
Fantastic.
the first competition that
Was
I
it?
competed in,
Yeah, yeah.
and that was in Masters as well.
Okay, fantastic. And what's your view on how the industry is going now? Because I'm no expert when it comes to bodybuilding because I've only just started. I'm on my first season. But having spoken to some of the athletes who've been doing it for a long, long time, it seems like the girls are getting bigger and bigger in the categories that they're supposed to be in. And obviously for judges, that's hard because at the end of the day, they've got to award somebody, and they might not fit the criteria for what the class is supposed to be. But do you think that girls are getting bigger for the different classes?
Definitely. You know, some girls that you see in bikini look like they could be in trained.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
you know, and then it's really hard to differentiate which one they should actually be in. So
Mm,
I do think that can make it harder for people as well. Um, you know, especially if they haven't got the size, but
yeah.
it shouldn't all be about size anyway. You know, it should be about symmetry and
Yes, exactly.
look that's specific to those categories, which is obviously everybody knows what that look should be for the type of federation and the type of category before they go in. But if you've then got a lineup of all bigger
All
girls,
big girls. Yeah.
then the judges have to go off that lineup, don't they?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I do think it needs to sort of come back a bit, really,
Yeah, yeah.
in
But
the
that's the thing. It's really
way. For,
hard now because the bigger they get, and whoever is coming in like as a first timer, they're going off what the winners are looking like, and they're going in training to be that size. Do you know what
yes,
I mean? And so it's very hard to know where the line will get drawn by the judges because at the end of the day, the judges have to award what they see. They can't really, somebody has to win at the end of the day. And if the winner is always going to be bigger and bigger, I don't see it being pulled back anytime soon, really,
no,
because it has you have
it
to
does
take
make it.
somebody who literally comes in fitting the criteria, and hopefully they be awarded and not just going off the previous winners, I think. But yeah, I think it's getting harder for people who are coming in as new athletes as well, because you've got to train harder to get more muscle or to get bigger or to have more drugs in you, whatever you choose, whatever way you choose to achieve that. And a lot of it also has to be, I think genetics also play a big role, don't you?
Definitely play a big role. And I just think it's making it not. Sorry,
It's all right, don't worry.
just sending a message to say I'm
Stop
busy.
calling. Stop calling me.
What happens when you've got children, you see?
Yeah, yeah,
They just ring constantly.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I think it's making it a lot harder for people that are coming um, newly into bodybuilding. but also making it harder for people that would struggle to get that size naturally to maybe want to continue competing, because the goal is to win. I don't care who says it's not.
It is to win, absolutely, 100%. 100%. It's a competition at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. So it could put some people off doing it because they're like, I'm never going to win, because naturally I'm never going to be able to get to this size, because genetically I would not be able to do that naturally.
No.
Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being assisted, but not everybody wants to go down that route. And I know that people will then say, well, you've got your tested federations and your ones that aren't, but it can, there is ways around that, isn't there?
There is way around that. Of course there is, yes. And that is a whole other episode that we probably will have to bring you back so we can venture into it a bit more. I just want to kind of finish up nicely now with something that I've been stalking you on Instagram. So I know kind of what you do, and there's something that really caught my eye, and it's something that you call a sister circle. Can you please explain to us exactly what that's about? Because I'm really interested in it, and I probably will want to come to one of those. Does this tie in with the meditation side of things, or what is the sister circle about?
Yes, it does tie in. So a sister circle is a safe space that women can come together to do the inner work and embrace like-minded women at the same time. So you will do meditation, intention setting. You will go within yourself and try and rid yourself of some of these belief systems that do not serve you. It's a place that you can be you, judgment free. You will also do journaling, and you will all do this together, and it's really, really empowering when women come together to do these things. And I think it enables us as well to get away from the pressures of society. And a lot of women, we're not true to ourselves because we act how we think other people want us to.
Exactly.
How we think society wants us to. But when you actually go and do that inner work, you can start becoming true to yourself.
And be your true self.
Empowering women and coming together to do that.
That's beautiful. I absolutely love that. It's something that I'm really, really interested in. And that's why I thought I needed to mention it on this podcast today, because I feel like you could get, you could do with getting it more of a word out about it, and just really educating people on what it is, because I feel like it's something that a lot of women need, but they don't probably have that space or platform to be able to just be and express themselves and be their true selves, as you say, judgment free. That must be a beautiful space to be in. And
it really is a beautiful and positive space. At the moment they are in person, but they can be done online as well. So, women can still connect that way and still be in that space. Where they feel safe to be themselves. And nothing that is spoken about in circle should come out of it.
No, that's amazing. That's really, really good. And I'm looking forward to jumping onto one of those. You'll be seeing me.
Yes, fabulous. That would be
it sounds like something completely up my street. I love it. So Anastasia, it's been absolutely fantastic and wonderful to have you on my pod today. I really do appreciate your time and you agreeing to come and be interviewed by me on the podcast, as well as share your knowledge on all the things that you have. Really, really, really appreciated. And I'm really looking forward to getting this episode out because there is a lot of information there that's very educative and very informative for women to help them feel like they have somewhere to be heard and somewhere to go if they need that. And also educating them on ways of managing different stages of their lives that they go through. So that's been absolutely great. Just to finish off, I usually ask my guests a random question at the end. So for you, I have chosen this one. If you were 21 again, what would you do differently? And what would you say to your 21-year-old self, knowing what you know now?
So I'm a great believer that everything you've done in life gets you to the stage that you're at. So I don't believe you should actually change anything, because I wouldn't be here now talking to you.
I know.
If I changed anything, even though that was quite a rocky part of my life there as well.
Okay.
Yes, definitely it was. But I still wouldn't go back and change anything. What would I say to myself? Just be you and stop hiding behind a mask.
Fantastic. Love that. Absolutely love that. And just so people know how to reach you for your services, what is the best way to get in touch with you if people wanted to reach out to you for your coaching services, if you're taking any new clients on?
So people are able to get me through Instagram or Facebook, which is Anastasia Marie Wellness Coach. People could also WhatsApp me. Would you prefer me to give my number here for that? Or
I will put your details on the notes at the end of this video, so they can reach you that way. But it was just important for them to hear you saying it as well.
If they just want a little bit of information on anything, even if it's even if it's like menopause or mindset, just send me a little voice note if they want, or a message, and I'll happily speak to anyone if I can give them a bit of help and advice.
Fantastic. Really, really nice to have you on, Anastasia. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. You have provided us with so much invaluable information that I'm sure the listeners will very much appreciate. So I love you and leave you for now, and we'll say goodbye to our listeners as well. But I will definitely bring you back on, because there's other things that we have not explored that I wanted to go into a bit more detail on. So if you would come back, I would love you to come back at some point.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for having me on. I have really enjoyed it, and I've really enjoyed speaking to you.
Fantastic, Anastasia. I'm glad to hear it. Well, you take care for now, and for our listeners, we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And just before you go, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel so you don't ever miss any upcoming episodes. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Carol West Coaching. Are you interested in coaching or joining our team as a client? We offer photo shoot, body transformations, as well as bodybuilding competition prep packages. The team at the Elevate Health and Body Transformation Program are ready and waiting to help you achieve and maintain your dream physique. Whether you're looking to step on stage or just want to do it for yourself, you can send us a DM and we'll get you on the road to achieving a lean and fit physique. Bye for now.